And today my adventure begins right here at the historic Henry River Mill Village, located in Hildebrand, North Carolina. We're going to learn a little bit about this old mill village today and kind of explore around. Hopefully it doesn't rain too much. It is sprinkling again. I've been pretty patient today. It has rained off and on, and this is a location that is well known for being a filming spot for the movie Hunger Games that come out in 2012. Well, good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitch Hiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today for this little adventure as we're going to explore the Henry River Mill Village here in Hildebrand, North Carolina. Been here before, but it's been quite a while. And right now, the people that run this place is actually, I guess, on a lunch break. They said they got like a "we'll be back soon, thank you for your patience" sign up. But when they get back, we're going to talk to them and get permission and pay a little fee to come here and kind of explore the area and learn a little bit about it. And even though I cannot record them talking, that is one of the rules I remember from last time. You can't film them while they're talking about the history of this place. I can definitely pass on the knowledge that they give me as we walk around, and I've done a little bit of research for myself. So as soon as I get back, we're going to get started. We're going to look at some filming spots from the movie Hunger Games. This was District 12 in the movie, so I'm sure I can find a few little locations, and I got some screen grabs with me. We're going to try to line some stuff up and have some fun with this today. Really appreciate you being here. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I just finished up talking to the historian here. He's going to cut me loose now. And what I think I'm going to do, he did nice enough to give me this map to kind of help me get around. We're going to kind of walk around, start up here at the top of the hill, I do believe, and look at some of the village homes as we come down the sidewalk up here and talk a little bit about the history. And yeah, this is going to be awesome. And I'm really happy because it looks like the rain is going to hold off. It actually stopped drizzling, so that's a really good sign today. Luck's on our side. So let me tell you a little bit about the Henry River Mill Village. It is one of North Carolina's most famous abandoned mill towns and one of the best preserved examples of early Southern textile village. Located near Hildebrand here in Burke County, the village was founded in the early 1900s around the Henry River Manufacturing Company. Today it is known both for its industrial history and for its serving as District 12 in the 2012 film, The Hunger Games. Look at all that like kudzu that's growing all over house number 1. And the reason I know it's house number 1 is because the map he gave me. All these are numbered. So I'm going to be kind of utilizing that as I make my way around the property here. This village was actually established in 1905 as a cotton yarn mill powered by the Henry River, which is down at the bottom of the hill. We're on a very steep incline, by the way. All these village homes are just on the side of the hill, and they just work their way down to the dam, as we see as we move along. But the site was carefully planned out as a self-contained company town, which included a 3-story brick textile mill, worker cottages, a boarding house, and a company store, and a dam and water system. Okay, so I find this pretty interesting. You can see up the hill is house 1. I'm right here in front of house 2, and I'm like right off the road, and they have this like entrance. It's like a cellar right here. Look at this place. Now, I'm not going to venture down in it, but I just want to show it to you. Look at that. That is wild. Now, this could have been one of many things. Could have been a food storage cellar, could have been a spring house, water storage, or a utility chamber associated with the mill village's water system, since Henry River had its own water infrastructure and fire protection system. Not really sure, but nonetheless, that's pretty fascinating. At the village's peak, around 35 worker homes line the steep hillsides above the river. Most mill workers rented houses directly from the company for a small fee. In the early years, the mill relied entirely on water power from the river before later converting to steam and electric power. By the 1940s, the mill employed well over 100 workers and produced fine cotton yarn used for lace and textiles. Okay, so the historian that I spoke to earlier when we was talking about this, I had a question about one of the homes that were blown up here from the Hunger Game filming, and that's the reason Hunger Games 2 was not filmed here, is because the film studio blew up one of the cottages, one of the village homes, without asking. And he said the home was back here, the one that they detonated. But we're going to kind of walk back this pathway here. He said it's a little growed up back here, but he said, you know, just watch what you're doing, where you're stepping, things like that. You know, snakes and etc. Other wild animals could be roaming in the parts. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back here and see if we can see the location where they blew the home up. Okay, so I'll walk back here where I was instructed to, and I just walk down this pathway right here behind me. And this clearing, I'm going to show you right now. This right here is where the house was located, the village house, that when they was making the first Hunger Games movie, this here is the little cottage that was exploded, detonated. And the historian told me it was pretty much splinters. There's nothing really left. He said there's a little artifacts and stuff back in there, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to walk back through there. There is a lot of briars, kudzu, possibly some poison ivy laced in with that. Not to mention, it's very warm this time of year. Snakes are out and all kind of other creatures are rustling around in these vines and stuff. So just wanted to document that this here is where the homestead once set. And it's also the #1 reason why Henry River Mill Village was not used in Hunger Games 2, because the owners at that time were very ticked off, to say the least, that the film studio, without talking to them, without getting any kind of permission, decided to ignite one of their historic village homes and blow it up for the sake of the movie. And even though I read they was compensated, it still did not change the matter of fact that you just blew up like a historical building. So I think that's the main thing. Even though at the time it was not on the National Register of Historic Places, that did not happen in 2019, and they filmed here in 2011. Nonetheless, you didn't have permission to do that. So that's why it was not in Hunger Games 2. Okay, continuing on now. So like many southern textile communities, Henry River declined as the American textile industry struggled in the mid-20th century. The mill closed around 1970-71. Then, in 1977, the main mill brick building burned after a suspected lightning strike. Without the mill, the village slowly emptied out. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, most residents had moved away, leaving behind haunted ghost town atmosphere. So this abandoned village gained worldwide attention when Hollywood used it as a setting for District 12 in the Hunger Games movie starring Jennifer Lawrence. The weathered home and industrial ruins perfectly matched the film's mining district setting that they was looking for. And matter of fact, speaking of District 12 in Hunger Games, this here is Jennifer Lawrence's homestead in the movie, or her name was Katniss. This here was her home. And we're gonna walk inside and check it out real quick. So before we enter this house, I do wanna tell you, this is the only house they allow you to actually go in and actually venture into. You can walk the property and look at what you want, but this here is the only one they allow us to actually walk in freely and check it out. And all these cottages, when the mill was open, was like 2 apartments. So they would be 2 different families. And if you look up at the roof, you see this line right here. See right down through there? That was because it was divided up. It was divided up. You had a family over here and a family over here, but for the movie, they wanted to remove the wall. That way they could move their cameras in here and shoot easier and more freely. And the props that they have left over from the movie are in this little room right here. This is where Katniss' sister would have been laying at the beginning of the movie. Right over there is the lamp. And this is where she's talking to her and kind of holding her hand and hugging on her and stuff, because they know the Hunger Games tournament, the selection is coming. And that's where all this went down right here. This is the actual props from the film. So that's kind of cool. They let them keep some of this stuff, but it's only the stuff in this room that they let them hold on to. Pretty cool. Happened right there. She laid right there. That's pretty awesome. Film used. And also in the movie, while she's in the house, I think if I can remember correctly, it's been a while, but I think she actually come down those stairs right there, right down through here, before she ventures out and does her little run through the backside of District 12 and heads out to practice her archery shooting in the woods. Okay, so that is it for Katniss's house, but there is one more thing I want to show you before we leave. They have an actual old pay stub here from back when the Mill Village was still open. Look at that, 5/21/1955. It says received of office. And this here is the dollar amount, $118.26. And it says mom right there. But the historian was telling me, make sure I see this before I walk out if I want to see what a actual pay stub looked like back in that time period. That is pretty cool. They still have that. So when you step out and you walk around, this here is Katniss's house. And there's a shot of her when she's going for her run through District 12 to go get her archery in. And this here is the shot. You can see the power lines in the movie on the right-hand side. And also, there is like a meter, like a meter reader or something, like an electric meter reader you might see on like a pole. Well, that is still here. So right here is about the shot. Now, it's not quite to scale. Let me zoom in just a little bit and try to get this better. Maybe about right there, give or take. That right there. Now, everything now is grown up and it's changed a lot. It doesn't look like it's the same in the movie. Maybe if you come in the wintertime here, you could get this shot just about right. But this is about the shot where she does that run down through District 12. And there's also like a, I don't know, like an outhouse or something there in the middle of the screen. And on right here today, it's all grown up. There's greenery all over it, but we're going to walk up there and dissect this area just a little bit more and make sure this is the right spot. But I'm pretty sure this is it. Okay, so right there it is. Right there's that little like meter reader thing that you can see in the movie. I do believe that's it. And then when we come over here, there's some kind of like an outbuilding in the movie. And it's got a tree growing close by. And unfortunately today, there's a lot more trees and growth growing around it, but you can see it inside there. It's very crumbly and falling apart, but that there would be what is left. I'm sure that's some kind of a bathroom, like an outbuilding potty, very similar to maybe that one right there. And then in the background, you can yet see another one off into the distance. And that's that one up there that you're seeing. And you can see all these telephone poles are lined up down through there. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Filming location completed. District 12, that's awesome. So you would have ran right down through here. And every now and then the camera, if I remember correctly, would kind of pan to the backside of some of these village homes. And you might see like an old person sitting on a porch as she kept running in this direction, which is really where her house is. It makes it look like her house is on up the hill here, but it's not. She's actually running by her home during this scene. Okay, I made my way down here just below Katniss's house. And this might be a little bit better shot as far as where you can just see the power lines better. You know, how they're lined down through there like there was in the movie. It's not the right angle, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty good shot. All right, we're gonna move on. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers the filming location for Hunger Games right here. And now when we turn around, this here is the old company store for the Henry River Mill Village. And this is where people would bring their currency that they were paid. I think it was a type of script. I think it was called Dungaloos. And they actually had some inside, and he let me take a little bit of video footage of what they looked like, the actual pieces that they used to pay the people here. They still had some, so that's really cool. But this here is the pastry and cake shop, or the bakery. This is where PETA actually stood out that door right there and was throwing some bread out here. And right over here to the left in the movie, there was a like pig lot right here back then. And another fun fact to give you is this tree right here looks kind of dead in the top, doesn't it? That's because it was transplanted here to this location. It was on the property, and when they was making the movie Hunger Games, the historian told me they actually transplanted this tree next to the pig lot, and they just left it here. You know, it's growing again, but that's the reason the very top of it's dead, because it was transplanted, he said. But I thought that was kind of cool that the movie studio felt like they needed a tree right here next to the old pig lot, and it's still here to this day. Okay, so I've made my way down the hill a little bit further. Right here's another village house, and they actually fixed one up down here, and this is like a bed and breakfast they have, that you can actually stay here on property. They have all kinds of little fun events throughout the year. You can go on their website and check it out. I'll put a link in the description to their website where you can kind of keep up with their schedules and what's going on. They like show movies down here. I'm sure they show like the Hunger Games and stuff like that where it was filmed, which is kind of cool. But wanted to talk to you a little bit about the demise of the mill. So like many southern textile communities, Henry River declined as the American textile industry struggled in the mid 20th century. The mill closed around 1970-71, and then in 1977, the main brick building, the mill itself, burned after a suspected lightning strike. Without the mill, the village slowly emptied out by the late 1990s and the early 2000s. Okay, so I made my way down the drive a little bit further, and this here's pretty much at the bottom of the hill. We're not quite at the river yet, but this here is the roadway that I followed to get down here. And right there is the power lines that I followed. And this foundation right here that I'm looking at, I'm imagining this here was the old mill itself that burned down in 1977. This here would have been about the footprint where it would have set. And all the yarn that they made here was put on a train and went up north to New England and was made, you know, changed into really nice dresses and things like that. That's what they manufactured in up there. So, man, that's a big tree. That thing is monstrous. But yeah, that is the story. And another thing I thought that was really interesting, you got to remember, when this place started back in like 1905, there was no laws as far as how young you had to be to work. So children worked in this mill along with their dads and the adults in the family and brothers and stuff like that. My goodness. Now this over here looks like it might be some kind of their finished good warehouse maybe. Looks pretty creepy, doesn't it? Now, we find a lot of creepy places here on the channel. That's just kind of how we do things. Let's walk up here and see what we can see. Yeah. Check that out. Man, that's a lot of history right there, folks. Sure is. You just imagine how much yarn passed through these walls right here and on this little docking area. All right, see if we can make our way down to the dam now. Okay, so this here is the back side of the like warehouse or shipping dock, whatever that thing was we just seen. And this here is the dam for the power. So I talked to the historian earlier, and he just told me that you can still walk down here. They keep it pretty clear. And this ain't too bad. And there's actually a scene in the Hunger Games movie where Katniss actually runs across the top of the dam. We'll look at that when we get down there, of course. Yeah, this here is some old rickety looking steps. Check that out. I think somebody's down here fishing. I hear people talking out here on the water. Make our way up these steps and be careful. They're very steep, by the way. I mean, very steep. Wow, look at that view. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Now this looks a lot different than last time I was here. Look how low the water is here. Oh my gosh, I just cannot believe it. And all this wood. I wonder if that's like left over from the floods of Hurricane Helene several years ago. From what I remember in the movie Hunger Games, when Katniss is actually running across this dam right here, she runs right across there. I think there's a couple cameras. I think there's one over here in like the greenery. And there might be one more like down low, down here in this area, right on the river, looking up from a lower level, looking up, and you see her run across in the film. That all took place right here. And I'm just amazed at how low the water level is. I mean, I just cannot get over how much you can see, how you can just see how far it is off the bank. That is crazy. What do you think this mechanism right here used to be? I wonder if that still works. Oh wow, it still does, look. Oh man, it's heavy. But nonetheless, it still turns. All right. I think I'm gonna head and make my way back up out of this place. And I gotta admit, this was a bit of a shock to come down here and see the old dam looking like it does with that low water. That is unbelievable. All right, I have made it up the hill now. I'm good and sweaty. It's about 85, 86 degrees today, 100% humidity. It's fantastic. But all in all, had a great time today. Whoop, get on out here, bug. Really appreciate the gentleman that told me about the history and gave me some little ins and outs about the filming locations here. Really enjoyed my day. It's definitely worth coming here and checking them out. It's a small fee to come here and listen to the historian give you some cool facts about this place. And if you're a fan of the Hunger Games, this is like a place I think you have to come at least once and kind of check it out. But all that being said, I'm done today. I'm sweating. Time to go get some water, relax a little bit, and then get something to eat, hopefully. I'm getting kind of hungry. You know, I'm right here in front of this bakery, and I'm wishing right now it was actually open, but it's not. But news are that in the future, this might be a year, might be 2 years down the way, they're talking about fixing this up and changing it into some kind of a restaurant or a real bakery. They don't really know yet, I don't think, but it's going to be something pertaining to food. So that's really good. Really good if they're opening things up here and getting things rolling. This is a really cool little old mill village with some really neat history and movie history to boot. So all that being said, my friends, I'm done today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe. I hope to see you all again soon. And say so long to the Henry River Mill Village store. Also the bakery in the Hunger Games. Yeah, pretty cool, man. PETA come right out that door. Right there it is. Still says pastries and cakes on it, just like from the movie.